got with us today Derrick Thomas. Welcome, Derrick.
Welcome, thank you for having me.
It's wonderful to have you with us, and you're a very important person at the moment because
I see.
On the 5th of July you're going to carry the Olympic torch.
Yes, it's a great privilege and an opportunity to do something like that. You know, I never thought, having arrived in England 55 years ago, this opportunity would ever present itself. And it's a once-in-a-lifetime occasion, you know, so I'm looking forward to it immensely.
Yeah, but of course you're a very special person to be selected because I understand you know, you're a sportsman, first of all. Yeah. Tell us something about your sporting activities.
Well, I started my sporting activities at the age of 14, really. 6 of us started a gym in Guyana, where I was born, a place called Mackenzie.
Yes.
And that's a mining area of Guyana.
Yes.
And we started a gym. We hadn't the proper weights, so we went to the railway yard and picked up all the old wheels and so on.
See, so you did with
wheels. And it was very dangerous in those days because we hadn't any way to stop the weights from sliding on the bar.
I see.
So decided that he'd make some proper weights for us. And he did some proper weights for us, and then we started our little gym.
Oh, I see.
And we wrote, I don't know if you can remember, in the old days, they had a magazine called Hercules.
Oh, yes.
And we sent away to Hercules magazine, and he sent us a chart, and Steve Reeves as well, and they sent us these exercising charts. That's where we started.
Gosh.
And one of our friends, he had such a bony, he was very thin. In fact, when he takes his shirt off, you could have see us coming to all his ribs.
Really?
And he had bow leg.
Yes.
And within 5 years, he won Mr. Guyana.
Did he really?
And that's where I realized the power of exercise. His bow leg, the straightened out, muscular, very good.
Well, it's a lesson to everybody.
It's a lesson to a lot of youngsters that how important exercising is.
But of course, you don't just do this weight training. You do swimming.
Yes.
Tell us about your swimming.
I did. We had a swimming pool right at our back, right at the back of our house. It belonged to the company anyway. But I just go through my garden, and the swimming pool was there. So I used to go there in the morning. 5:30 in the morning, the pool open, we swim there. Also, we used to do training for athletics.
I see.
In those days, we had any running shoe.
Yes.
So we did the barefooted.
Yes. But you've taken all of this forward, and of course, in the last 3 years, you've been involved with a swimming organisation here in Ipswich.
Yes, the Great East Swim, the British Gas Great East Swim for the last 3 years here.
Have you won it?
No, I was only a volunteer.
Oh, you're a volunteer. But you did. And then archery, you're in archery as well?
No, I also volunteered. There was a competition at Stoke Mandeville Hospital with international archery, disabled archery.
Yes.
And it was amazing how these people were able to fire a bow. People were with a stroke, people without any hands, and all this in a wheelchair were really firing these bows accurately as well.
Amazing.
But the thing about it, they were also happy.
Yes.
Despite their disabilities, they were so happy.
Well, this is right.
So, but 8 of us were down there as volunteers, so we go and retrieve the bows and all the rest of it.
Yes.
And it was very, very enjoyable to watch these people working, doing this sport. So I really came back very, very humbled that people with this disability can do such things.
Yes. But of course, you've been involved with a lot of other charitable organisations, haven't you? Tell us something about your other activities.
Well, 14 years ago, one of my school friends who lives in London now went back to Guyana.
Yes.
And she thought that the education in Linden, as now it's called Linden, wasn't at the same standard, and they were struggling with equipment and books and things like that. And she came back, got hold of about 6 or 7 of us who attend the same school, and we formed this charity.
That's very good.
And the charity, we then send things, all educational materials, computers, books, chairs, tables, and we've been doing that for the last 14 years.
Oh, that's very good.
And we're very fortunate that a company in Needham Market, which is called CPW Computers, they are now our patrons of our charity, and they get the old computers, get them refurbished, put new software in, and then we ship it out to Guyana.
What a wonderful opportunity.
It's great. And I must say, very thankful that CP Computers, also Excel Windows, they do some storage for us.
Do they?
And Orwell School has given us computers. We got from the council as well. And all these different organizations, I'd like to say many thanks to them and some local people who also have computers they didn't need.
Yes.
We went and collected, get them refurbished, and then we send them off to Guyana.
So if anybody's got an old computer?
Well, we have 10 schools.
10 schools.
We have equipped 7 of them.
Have you?
And now we were made to understand that the government has decided now to give computers to the schools.
Yes.
So we decide what we're going to do in the future is to sponsor the bright pupils to go to university.
Oh, what a good idea. Yes.
So they either go to Guyana or good universities in Trinidad.
Yes.
That's what our aim to do in the future.
Good. So tell us how you came about to be selected as the Torchbearer, because
that's a very surprising. Mike McCarthy, who is the 2012 Legacy Officer in Ipswich, decided because I was involved in all these various charity works, he put my name forward to the committee.
Yes.
And out of the blue, I was selected. Of course, I felt really humbled that such a privilege.
Obviously, you must deserve it, because it's great that you're being it's being recognised in this way.
Yeah.
Now, tell us something about it. I understand you're getting a special uniform.
Yes, a special outfit for that arrived yesterday.
It's arrived.
It's arrived yesterday by special post.
And what does that consist of?
Well, I have a tracksuit bottom, more or less, and a top. Which has the 5 rings of the Olympiad and a special design sleeves that when you hold the torch, it looks very, very nice.
I see, how nice.
So I've also purchased my torch as well.
You have to purchase the torch?
Yes.
How much does that cost you?
That cost me £199.
But they're selling on eBay for about 5,000 now, I hear.
Well, no, my torch is to be kept in the family.
I'm glad to hear that. You're going to do something very special with it as well.
Yes, I want to take it into schools and sort of motivate the youngsters, say to them, whatever your education background is, where you came from, you can achieve certain things in your life if you have the education and good manners. Those two things must go together, you know. And tell them a bit of my background, where I came from, what I did, and try to motivate them in that way.
And you've already got bookings at 2 schools
already. Yes, I have 2 schools in Ipswich.
So if any school teachers are listening, they know they can book you with the torch.
Well, yes, and let the kids have a photograph of it, because we don't know when we'll have another Olympic in this country. Well, not in my lifetime, anyway.
I don't think so. In a lot of our lifetimes.
So they'll have an opportunity to take a photograph with it and so on.
What a wonderful opportunity that is.
Because I also use it to sort of raise donation for my charity as well. This helps,
Of course it does. And tell me, how does the torch actually work?
Apparently that it's lit as the one lit torch is then put together and lit to another torch, and you carry on, and you get the next person on the road, and then you do the same thing.
Yes. But what is inside?
There's a burner inside there, a special burner in there.
I see.
Yes.
But is it gas? Is it?
I think it must be gas. I haven't seen it. No, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it yet.
Perhaps you'll come and show it to us.
Well, I'll come and bring a torch and show it to you, but it wouldn't have the burner inside, because once I finish, they'll take the burner out.
They take the burner out
because of safety. You know,
of course,
you must remember your safety.
Absolutely. Well, you sound as though you've had a fascinating life. Let's go back, because I remember it was British Guiana.
Yes.
And you were born in British Guiana.
Yes.
This is in South America.
South America,
Geography is
very good,
Yes. And what year were you born there?
I was born 1936, 15th of October 1936.
That makes you 76.
I'll be 76 the year October.
Well, you certainly don't look 76, I may say.
Well, you can put it down to exercise, you know.
That's very good.
And plenty of sport,
So tell us something about your early life in British Guiana.
Well, after leaving school, I did my apprenticeship with the Roots Group.
Oh, yes.
And they were...
now, these are the car people,
Car people, yes. They did the Humber Snipe, Humber Snipe. They did the Humber Hawk. They did the Hillman Minx, Hillman Imp. Yes, those cars.
And they used to manufacture them?
No, we used to get the cars from England. They manufactured Coventry. And they were sent to Guyana. We had a big depot down there.
Oh, I see. So this was distributing
It was a distributing down South America.
And what were you doing with that then?
I was a motor engineer, yes.
Really?
A motor vehicle engineer. I did my apprenticeship with them.
Yes.
And then my mother decided that I should come to England to improve my studies. But I didn't want to go there because, at that age, I was enjoying myself so much, sport and so on. And I came to England, but once I got here, I realized there's an opportunity to do other things.
Yes.
But after 2 years working for the Roots Group in Labrador at
so you just transferred
from one company to the next,
Yes.
at Balby Hall, that's in Labrador.
Yes.
I was there for about 2 years.
Were you? Yes.
And I used to work in the transport and demonstration department.
Really? Yes.
I do all the cars for that.
Yes.
I even worked in Winston Churchill's car.
Did you?
Yes, he had a Humber Snipe.
Really?
And I had to do brakes on that car.
Did you?
You know, that was great. That was something.
That was an honour.
That was an honour.
Not many people
can say that
on
indeed. Winston Churchill's car.
Yes.
And I did cars for the rally. Used to do all the Monte Carlo rally,
really?
Tulip rally.
Yes.
And I met people like Sterling Moss, Sheila Van Dam, Mike Hawthorne, the late Mike Hawthorne, and I think Peter Harper, because they were the drivers for these cars, you know, during that time. And we used to have the car show at the Earl's Court.
Oh yes, that's
so I used to
right,
prepare cars for the shows as well.
Really?
So,
Goodness,
but then 2 years later, being in the country, I was called for national service.
Of course, the national service. When was national service?
And I think end of '59 it ended.
It ended, but you were just caught.
Caught, yeah. '59. I was caught by April '59. I was the last batch, more or less.
Yes.
Yeah. But I realized I went in as a motor mechanic.
Yes.
But I then realized there was an opportunity of doing something different.
Yes.
And I saw my flight sergeant, and he said to me, I was waiting for you to come and see me to change your trade. I said, why, sir? He says, I don't think you were the type of person to be empty the motor department.
Really?
I was surprised.
Yes.
But apparently, you never know who's watching you.
Well, that's right.
This is the thing which I said to my grandchair, you don't know who's watching you.
That's right.
And the way you carry yourself on, you know, you never know where it leads to.
Well, this is right.
Well, apparently my flight sergeant was watching at me because when I come to work in the morning, I always make sure my uniform and everything is pressed.
Yes.
And when I get to work, I take off my uniform, put on my overall. A lot of the other guys use their so they got all greasy work in the motor department.
That's right.
And he said, you know, I noticed that you're not the type of person to be here.
Yeah.
I said, well, okay. And I remustered. He says, yes, where you want to remuster to. And I said, I like electrical air.
Really?
And electronics. He says, okay. And he signed my paper. I had a trade test. I had eye test and a trade test, and I got through that.
Yes.
And I was sent to RAF Melksham, where I first went to Melksham, to do my electrical and electronics course.
Yes.
And I then passed out there. I became a junior technician, and from there, I went on.
Of course, then you went on to these flight simulators.
Flight simulator, yes.
Yes, because that was in their infancy.
Infancy there. Then, in fact, Wing Commander Beta, he was our technical officer, and again, you don't know who's watching it.
That's right.
My job was to build circuits. We call them mock-up circuits, where the trainees can come and practice their skill. And one day I was singing, doing my business, and the voice behind me says, "You sound like you're enjoying your job." So it was the word, the Wing Commander Beta.
Yes.
So he says, well, how would you like to go on a flight simulator course? I said, well, sir, I didn't know what a flight simulator was at the time. He said, well, I'll send you away to RAF Lynham, where you had the Comet and the Britannia flight simulator. For a month, so I went there and I thought, this is good. I like air-conditioned building, working with the pilots and all the rest of it. So I came back and told him I would like to be. And he sent me away on a 18-month course where the Lightning simulator was manufactured at General Precision Systems in Aylesbury. So I spent about 18 months there. While we built the simulator, get it flying all the flight tests, then we strip it down back and ship it out to Singapore, to RF Tenga in Singapore. And I spent 2 years out in Singapore.
Out in Singapore, so you've really been around the world in the RAF.
And so that was a very good thing for me.
And of course, on the boat over from British Guiana, you met someone.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
I met my late wife. We were in the same boat, but I mean, just chat and things on. But we really never got together and till about 2 or 3 years later.
Yes.
And we got married, and
That's very nice. Was this when you were in the Air Force?
yes, I was in the Air Force. I was in the Air Force then. We went to Singapore together, the whole family.
Oh, goodness,
went to Singapore
very nice,
together,
yes.
so we had 2.5 years over there.
Yes.
But unfortunately, my wife died about 15 years ago.
Oh, I'm
she had
sorry
a stroke.
to hear
Yes,
that.
yes.
Yes. Oh, okay.
But I have a daughter here
Yes.
who works for Burkett's, the solicitors.
Yes.
And I have a grandson who works here in Felixstowe.
Absolutely. Now he works at the Carphone Warehouse, where he gives a magnificent service.
Oh, excellent! I'm very pleased to hear that.
I've been in there so often, and of course I thought you were his father. You don't look old enough to be his grandfather.
Thank you very much indeed. Yes, I'm his grandfather.
His grandfather.
Yes.
Well, you must say a special hello to Nick.
Hello, Nicholas. I hope you're enjoying your work today. Yes, yeah. And I have a granddaughter as well, who wants to study media. She's at Suffolk 1.
Really, yes.
And she's been accepted at South Bank University to do media work.
Oh, that's very good. Well, we hope she's going to come in and see us.
Yes, I'll try and let her know about that, yes.
That would be grand. But then, of course, how did you come to this area? It was Wattisham, I think.
Yes, I was posted from RAF Tenga in Singapore to RAF Wattisham in 1968. Well, when I arrived here and I saw the place, what have I done the air ministry to send me to this little place like this, you know?
But after Singapore.
After Singapore, you know. So I thought, anyhow, I started playing cricket and football and hockey and the local clubs and so on. So the place just grew on me, and here I am, and 44 years later.
Well, that proves this area must have something for you.
The weather is good.
Absolutely. We've got better weather here than anywhere else in the
country. Yes, so that was good.
But tell me a little bit about Singapore, because it must have changed.
Oh, Singapore has changed immensely from what it used to be. But I had a wonderful time because I played a lot of sports in Singapore. I played hockey, I played badminton, I played squash, and tennis, all that stuff, and cricket. I played for President's 11 in Singapore, and I toured Malaya, and Hong Kong playing cricket. And the life in Singapore was wonderful. Wonderful indeed. And but I went back there some years later, and it had changed completely, you know.
What have you found different?
For instance, the Padang was our main cricket ground.
Yes.
And you could have seen the sea, because from playing cricket in the afternoon, we used to go down to the seaside and all the rest of it. We used to have picnics and all the rest of it.
Yes.
When I took my wife there and showed her the place, I said, I'm still showing you what it's like. The sea had disappeared. The sea, they built hotels and flyovers and all sorts of things. But Singapore changed immensely from what it used to be, you know.
I remember that. I can repeat that because in the war there used to be the bazaars and I went back afterwards and they told me they're building the bazaar for the tourists. They've all gone.
All gone. All Change Alley has disappeared.
It's like a modern city now.
Yes, Change Alley has disappeared along with the facade in front of the buildings.
Yeah.
Now they start trying to save that now.
Yeah.
But lots of the buildings, Chinatown, all that disappeared, yes.
But tell me, so now what do you do? You're retired?
Well, I'm retired, and I get involved. I'm a Toastmaster.
Oh, of course, now, that's something not many people do. I don't know if we can hold this up, and you can perhaps see it a little bit better. There we are. This is Derrick as the Toastmaster. So if any of you want to a Toastmaster for your wedding or special occasions, Derrick is the man for you. And believe me, he's very, very good. So
thank you very much.
That is an introduction to something.
Yes.
Tell us about your Toastmastering work.
Well, funny enough, in Guyana, if you want to chat up with a girl, nowadays the boys chat girls all over the place.
Yes.
But in my day, this wasn't so.
Oh, really?
Parents were very strict.
What happened in those days?
Well, if you want to chat a girl up, you wait until either she goes to church, or at school.
Yes.
Out of school hours, that's it.
Oh, really?
But in Guyana, the politicians they had a hall or a conference center to give their speech when they're speaking to people. It was on the side of the road. They stand on a soapbox, on a box, and they give their speech for the votes.
Yes.
And that time, then the girl probably goes with her mother, and you give her nudge, hello, blah. Why is she listening? Why is the mother's listening to her? Yeah. But then our prime minister in those days was a fellow by the name of Burnham.
Oh, yeah.
He was a QC here in England, straight here. And I heard him said something in a speech, I thought, I would like to speak like that sometime. You know?
Yes, yes.
And that left with me all these years.
Yes.
Until I was due to retire. I thought, why don't I become a Toastmaster?
What a good idea.
And I phoned the Guild of Toastmasters.
Yes.
And they said to me, chap says, he says, very coarse voice, you know, he says, we are a very elite organization,
Yes.
you know, and he says, your training will be 2 weeks,
Yes.
and it's cost you about £2,700
Really?
plus VAT.
Goodness, really, yes.
So I got shocked right away.
Yes, yes.
I thought, I said, okay.
Yes, good for you.
I said,
Yes,
okay, and I
yes.
had to fill in all the application form.
Yes.
And then we had 2 weeks training in Ashton-on-the-Line.
Yes.
That's near Manchester.
Yes.
And it was central because we had students from Scotland,
Yes.
the Midlands and London. So
I
that was
see.
more a meeting point for everybody. So it was 2 weeks training, which
Yes.
was very intense. There's
Yes.
a lot of stuff lot of things we learned about
Yes.
Toastmaster is not in a book.
No.
It's
no.
from the old Toastmasters and developed. So we did
Yes.
things like for the military, the civic functions,
Yes.
royal functions,
Really?
and other sort of things. So
Yes.
it's very intense.
So you've got a background.
A background
to
overall.
take over
Anything.
And of course you have to take control.
So
don't
yes,
you?
we do
This is
Masons, ladies' night functions.
Really?
Yes,
Yes.
we do corporate functions, military,
Yes.
civic functions,
Yes.
and everything like that. Bamistas as well.
Yes.
We have taught about that as well.
Yes.
So you have a.
Well, I'm full of admiration because so many people today, you know, they think, well, what can I do? And here you've gone out and you've started a completely new career after you've retired.
Yeah, but you know, I've done lots of other things. After leaving the Air Force, before I left the Air Force, after leaving the Air Force, I went to work for ELMI. I went to work for KLM first.
Oh yes, what is there for?
The air flight simulator at KLM in Holland.
Oh yes,
yeah. I was
airline,
in
yes.
747s there
Yes.
for 18 months.
Yes.
And when the contract finished, I came and joined EMI Medical.
Medical?
Yes.
Sensible. So what do
Well,
you
I
do in
guess
the medical field?
because of your electronic background,
Yes.
getting into any field where electronics is needed, you know, it was pretty easy.
Yes.
So I joined EMI Medical in 1973 after returning from Holland.
Yes.
And I became a data peripheral engineer,
Yes.
which I used to do things like ECGs for hospitals and so on. Then I went in the CT scanner when they first developed.
What is a CT scan?
That the CAT scan that they scan people for cancer.
Oh, I
and
see.
all
Yes,
sort of thing.
yes,
That
yes.
has just been developed
Oh, I see.
in the 70s.
Yes.
And I became an engineer in that, a specialist
Really?
in that.
That's
So
really interesting.
we used to install the scanners around the world, places in Germany, Sweden.
So you went all over the world.
So I
okay.
worked in Sweden, I worked in Germany, I worked in Spain, Madrid,
Yes.
Jordan, Iran.
Did you?
Iran
Yes.
before the show.
And this is all with these scanners?
All with the scanners.
That's
and
fascinating.
Turkey and
Yes.
Nigeria.
Yes.
And Algiers as well.
Really?
Yeah,
Of
so
course, you spent a long time in Holland, didn't you?
yeah, I spent 18 months in Holland.
What did you do in Holland?
Well, they bought a simulator from an American company.
Yes.
And this thing costs over $1.5 million guilders.
Goodness
Right?
gracious me, yes.
And this machine sat there and the company went bankrupt
Oh, dear,
after
yes.
delivering this.
Yes.
So they were looking for a specialist on simulators.
Yes.
And I applied for the job at Fields Aircraft Service at Heathrow Airport.
Yes.
So I went up to see the gentleman named Mr. Anderson. I never forget him. And he gave me an interview, and
Yes.
he said, "Well, I think you're qualified for the job."
Yes,
and
well,
so
should be
on.
after a lifetime
After
of
I've
simulators. That's right.
So he said, "But Mr. Thomas, I must tell you this: because you're a black person, we don't know how you're going to be accepted." I said, "Fair enough, but you have to contact the company and tell them." I said, "Fair enough."
Yeah.
So I 3 weeks has passed, nothing happened.
Yes.
And suddenly I got a telegram. In those days were telegrams,
Yes,
you
that's
know.
right, yes.
So he says, "Can you report to my office and pick up a airline ticket and some traveling
How
expenses?"
exciting, yes.
I said, "What happened?" He said, I said, "What was the delay?" He said, "Well, I think they were looking for someone else."
Oh, I see. But at least he was honest.
Oh yes, that's what I liked about the gentleman.
Yes,
He was
yes.
very honest.
Yes.
And so he says, "You'll meet Mr. Van Rhyn." He's now dead,
Yes.
late Mr. Van Rhyn, at the BA desk
Yes.
in Holland.
Yes.
He had a newspaper on his arm so we
Yeah.
could identify each other.
Yes.
So I saw him, and Mr. Van Rhyn says, "Introduce ourselves," and he says, "Well, the simulator business, but 4 miles around the perimeter it's a huge airport.
Yes, yes.
So I was, of course, knowing what I was going, I make sure that I'm fully genned up on the subject, on my electronics and everything.
That's right.
And as we drove in the car, he was asking me various questions and so on, but not technical questions.
I see, yes.
He was more concerned, how would I fit in with the rest of the air crew?
Yes.
You
Well,
see.
once he met you, your personality comes over straight away.
So as we arrived at the simulator building, I stepped out, he stepped out. He's across the top of the car, he said to me, when can you start?
Really?
But I said to Mr Van Rhyn, I need to go back to England and tell my family and all the rest of it. He says, okay, we will give you a week or so. And the next thing you know, I had a job.
That's brilliant.
And I ended up spending 18 months working there.
Yes.
So I got all the faults sorted out, and I also played cricket over there, I played hockey over there.
So you've always been the sportsman.
Yes, I always.
I think
sports
this
is very...
is the main reason why you're going to carry the torch.
But also sports, I found out also during the time, because the problem on the simulator was lots of problems.
Yes.
And in the computer box, you had all the wiring was in white.
Yes.
White, and all the pins that the connections were all gold plated.
Yes.
So you lots of strain in your eyes, and I started suffering from terrific headaches by doing that.
Yes.
And I thought, no, I need to do something here. And one day I was traveling from where I was in Amsterdam down to Amsterdam, and I saw them playing hockey.
Yes.
So I stopped the bus, went up to the pavilion. I saw a gentleman. I said, look, I'm from England, and I would like to play hockey.
Yes.
He says, come upstairs. You know, they were very, very nice. And I introduced me to the secretary, who was a young lady. She said, do you want a drink? I said, well, I don't drink normally. Anyhow, she says, when you want to start?
Wonderful, isn't it?
She says, you can start on Saturday. We have a match on Saturday. I said, but I have no hockey. Oh, don't worry, she says. We will supply you with everything. And I played hockey there for 18 months.
And that got you fit again.
That kept me fit. And funny enough, all the headaches I used to suffer disappeared.
Well, that's a lesson to everybody.
That
and of course,
something.
not only all of this, and you're going to carry the torch, but you're going to be involved with the Olympic Games, I guess.
Yes. Well, for my sins, I'm taking part in the opening ceremony of the Power Games.
Well, there we are. We're going to see a lot of you, I'm sure.
Okay.
But I'm afraid time's up. It's been a
Okay.
fascinating meeting, and I think everybody's going to watch you on television carrying that torch, and they'll give a cheer.
Well, I tried to do
and
my
I hope
best.
you're going to come back and tell us all about it and bring the torch with you.
It's a pleasure.
But
thank you very much indeed.
I hope you've enjoyed that as much as I have. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Derrick, and may you have a long and happy life.
Thank you very
so
much indeed.
Thank you.
Bye.